The physicist Harry Turner, who worked in the Joint Intelligence Bureau, the Department of Air Force in Australia, the British Atomic Energy Research Establishment, and later as the Australian Health Physics representative during the controversial atomic bomb trials, has spilled the beans about UFOs in a secret document directed to the Deputy Secretary of Defense in Australia. The document was signed by the Joint Intelligence Office Director in May 1971 with attached minute paper called Scientific and Intelligence Aspects of the UFO Phenomenon. Let's see what's inside in the two classified documents. The report dealing with the US attitude towards UFOs has been compiled from official reports and statements made by the CIA, US Air Force, congressional hearings, and Project Blue Book records. The second document deals with evidence for weapon systems used by UFOs. This evidence has been collected by Dr. Jacques Vallée in collaboration with Dr. Hynek at Northwestern University and represents only a fraction of worldwide reports dealing with the same weapon systems. In June of 1947, the Air Technical Intelligence Center started to investigate the initial reports of flying saucers. In the beginning, they considered that the phenomena was real and probably of Soviet origin, but by the end of the year, when ATIC was officially authorized to investigate under the project codename of SIGN and with high priority, most of the investigators were focusing on an interplanetary rather than a Soviet origin. When the interplanetary conclusions were rejected by Pentagon on the grounds of insufficient hard evidence, they decided to replace all personnel from Project SIGN and form Project Grudge with a definitive mission to destroy the acceptance of UFOs. The motives for this are not clear. Possibly US Air Force wanted to avoid embarrassment at being incapable of controlling the security of the airspace and avoid public fear and national panic by denying its existence. But the document suggests that another motive was to give the control of the UFO issue to the new formed agency which goes by the name of CIA. Project Grudge failed to eliminate the UFO problem. UFO reports in 1949 actually exceeded the number of 1948, and several people who had gained access to earlier official reports were able to contradict the US Air Force. Journalists generally felt that Grudge reporting represented a cover to a more serious knowledge. All this led to forming new investigative body called Project Blue Book in 1952. After two major sightings in July, one involving Washington DC, a component of US Air Force intelligence considered that UFOs were interplanetary spaceships which were about to make a closer contact with humanity. They wanted to prepare the public by declassifying 41 previously classified reports. These reports contradicted the official US Air Force position that there's nothing interesting about UFOs. On the other hand, the CIA regarded summer UFO activity as a threat to national security, mainly because of the resulting crowded communications and defense forces involvement lessened the level of national alertness against possible enemy attack during the Cold War. A scientific panel was convened by CIA in 1953 called the Robertson Panel. After they reviewed over 3,200 reports and 2 classified movies of UFOs, they decided that the investigation needs to continue with increased personnel and equipment. The CIA, however, in a report dated 16 February 1953, showed a preference to publicly abandon the investigation while is intensifying the collection of data. Blue Book was later built up to 1 officer, 1 sergeant, 1 secretary, and a part-time consultant, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, staying about this level until it was closed down in December 1969. During this time, Blue Book served mainly as means of supplying unclassified summaries of UFO identifications to the public and did not form a vital link in collection or serious analysis. Control of public awareness of the UFO situation was tightened by prohibiting service personnel from discussing UFOs by threatening them with up to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. After retiring, it was possible to reveal their opinions even if the actual data was classified and still restricted. In this way, many intelligence officers associated with the UFO problem, including Major Fournette, who was Blue Book project officer at the Pentagon, Captain Rappold, who headed Project Grudge and Project Blue Book, and Admiral Hillenkoetter, who directed CIA, upon retiring, all publicly stated that the US government knows that UFOs were extraterrestrial but was withholding this fact from the public. Because of these testimonies, CIA decided to reduce the effect of this and similar defection from official policy after retirement. So they changed the rule, and in 1960 they made it an offense under the Espionage Act if data on UFOs were revealed. A more astounding decision on the part of the US government was to allocate considerable funds to investigate gravity and a means of controlling gravity. Despite the fact that science had not attained a level of competence to deal with either gravity or anti-gravity problems, and the only theory that might be applicable was Einstein's unified field theory, which was still incomplete at the time of his death. The US chose to support 6 universities and government agencies in all-out drive to conquer the problem. It is significant that at that time the current theories on UFO propulsion were a mixture of gravity control and electromagnetic propulsion. During 1955, the following firms entered into gravity and/or electromagnetic programs. Glenn L. Martin Aviation Company, surprise surprise, today's Lockheed Martin, the company that makes the most sophisticated warplanes for USA. Convair of San Diego, Bell Aircraft of Buffalo, Sikorsky Division, Lear Inc. of Santa Monica, Clark Electronics of Palm Springs, California, and Sperry Gyroscope Division. Such an intensive onslaught on the gravity enigma was entirely irrational from the standpoint of conventional science, and can only be rationalized with the context of a firm belief that UFOs were real and that the intelligence behind them knows how to control gravity. Although details of most of these projects have been kept classified, it would appear that generally they have not been successful. On 20th September 1965, Major General Lee Bailey formally requested the Air Force Scientific Advisory Board to review Project Blue Book. The review suggested that the limited Project Blue Book staff and the official investigating officers did not possess the technical competence to properly identify the phenomena, and that the university teams should be appointed to investigate selected sightings. This conclusion was supported, and in the shadow of a public outrage to the US Air Force identifying the well-publicized Michigan sightings as being swam gas, the Colorado University was selected for the task, and Dr. Edward Condon was appointed to lead the project with a budget of $500,000. The Colorado project became discredited when Dr. Condon stated publicly on 25 January 1967 that "My attitude right now is that there's nothing to it, but I'm not supposed to reach a conclusion for another year." The revealing of a memorandum outlining a method to trick the public, combined with a general dissatisfaction at Condon's biased attitude, led to the dismissal and resignation of most of the staff after most of the investigation had been made but not completely written up. The final report of 1965 pages lacked coherence. Condon conclusions were different with individual staff conclusions, although only Condon conclusions were publicized. As a result of the Condon report, US Air Force closed down Project Blue Book. Fast forward today, we all know that the internal UFO investigations and military government interests continue in different programs, although that was never revealed to the public. There are many other secret programs, and we recently learned about OSAP and ATIP. The following data have been extracted from a list of 1,000 reports of landings or near landings compiled by Jacques Vallée, a physicist engaged in computer research, and Professor J. Allen Hynek, the leading scientist in Project Blue Book. The information suggests the existence of 3 weapon systems: a device to interfere with electrical circuits, a device to induce paralysis, and a heat ray. There is circumstantial evidence that these weapons are at times used deliberately, although mostly in a defensive role. Let's check some of the sightings. After engine stall, strong light visible in woods with either sulfur smell, body pricklings when approaching light, had to stop, lost balance several times, 10-inch humanoid at 10 yards, later sphere of light rose, pendulum swing, luminous trail. Red and blue cigar directed an intense blue light at truck driver, engine and headlights died. Egg-shaped object took off from side of road as motor scooter engine died. 2 witnesses fell electric shock as bright object flies low, engine and lights go off. Italy. Beam of red light swept countryside for about an hour. Illuminated 2 tractors, petrol 1 stalled, diesel continued. Craft supporting a cone with flashing green light hovered just above the road. Engine could be restarted when object left, sulfur or rotten egg smell. There are too many cases describing this sulfur or rotten egg smell. In the Virginia case in 1996, the beans were covered in some liquid and they smell terrible. Probably the smell is connected to the propulsion system. France. Craft 50 meters away, 3 figures emerged from the light as witness felt paralyzed, then lost consciousness. Also, there's an interesting case on which I already made a video that happened in Colares, Brazil, where the locals were attacked and paralyzed by UFOs for 3 months. There are many more cases and interesting things to read from this document, so I will leave it in the description so you can check it out. This document concludes that real phenomena were being reported which had flight characteristics so far in advance of US aircraft that only an extraterrestrial origin could be envisaged. Thanks for watching my longest video. I would really appreciate if you support my work by becoming a Patreon or with one-time donations on Buy Me a Coffee. Links are in the description. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe with notifications on. See you in the next video.